Hello everybody, this is Steve Sigmiller, bringing you Upstate New York's weekly store training for December 19th. This is different than the one that came out from the office. The DMs and I felt like this was more specific to our needs in Upstate and helping us maximize our sales for the rest of the holidays. So let's get started. Okay, so maximizing opportunities. That's what we're going to talk about today. So the first thing you're going to do is an activity. You're going to spend no more than 10 minutes on this. So you're going to break into 2 or 3 groups, and each group is going to try to maximize their commission off of one sale. It's a customer that comes in with to do one upgrade, and they have $100 to spend. Each group's going to try and maximize their commission off of that. They can only sell one upgrade to the customer, so only one phone, but anything else is free game. Pull through, accessories, insurance, whatever else. Okay. So the purpose of this is you're going to bring everybody back together, and we're going to see who made the most money and what they did to make that money. Then you're going to ask the question, okay, how often does this happen? A customer comes in with one upgrade and we make $200 off that sale. And you're going to try and get some statistics from that. You know, is it 10%? Is it 5%? Is it 1 out of 100? How often does that happen? So what this activity is doing is it actually setting up a problem that we have, and then the rest of the training is going to be the solution. So what you're really trying to do is set the stage for this problem. How can we maximize our sales with each customer, sell each customer more stuff that they're happy with, and that we make more commission? You can even ask the question, during the holidays, we have an increase of traffic, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we get more sales, right? It's maximizing every opportunity that we have that will actually get us more commission. Whether it's December, whether it's January, or whether it's October, this works in every scenario. So here's our current sales approach. This is based off of Earn the Right, Connect, Discover, Recommend, and Close. Right? So a customer again comes in, they want an upgrade. And we say, okay, great. And we talk about phones. Instantly we go to phones and we go to Connect, Discover, Recommend, and Close on the phone. Right? Once the customer says, yes, I'll buy the phone, then we do the same thing in accessories, right? We discover, recommend, and close. Then we convince them to buy some accessories, then we talk about some pull-through, right? Then we discover, recommend, and close. Then we get to insurance. By the time we get to Vivint, we don't even bring it up. And sometimes we don't even bring up the pull-through, right? So why is that? What's wrong with this approach? Again, this is the problem that you're setting up. You're setting the stage for the solution for the rest of the training. The problem with this approach is the phone is the main decision, right? When the customer buys the phone, when they commit to that, they're doing the math in their head about how much they're going to spend. They still have enough money to pay their rent or their mortgage. They still have enough money to buy those new pair of shoes that they want, to buy the rest of their Christmas presents. And so they make that decision, yes, I'll buy the phone. And now we're trying to convince them to spend more on their decision as we discover, recommend, and close on each one of these. So that's why sometimes we don't even pitch the pull-through, we don't even pitch the Vivint, because we can already sense that in our customers. They're not willing to buy anymore, so I'm not going to pitch anything else. So here's the correct approach. The correct approach is to do connect, discover, recommend, and close once. So you're going to connect, get to know your customer, build trust. Then you're going to discover and ask questions about all of our products and how the customer might use them, how they would benefit from them. Then you're going to make a recommendation on the products that would best fit them, and then you're going to close the sale. So your goal is just to go through that cycle once instead of 4 or 5 times. Now when your customer is making a decision, they're making a full decision on all of our products instead of having to go through that with each one individually. Okay, so the critical phase in this is the discovery phase. Without doing the discovery phase correctly, none of the rest of this will work. So there is a Google Doc that is attached, not a Google Doc, a Word document that's attached that will go through a list of questions. So here it is. So I have 4 main questions that I'll ask my customers in the discovery phase, with a list of follow-up questions under each one of those. And the follow-up questions are really based on how they answer number 1. And there's a spot for additional follow-up questions within each segment, again, based on how the customer answers those questions. So the setup for these questions, customer comes in and says, hey, I'm ready for an upgrade, ready to buy this new phone. I'll say, okay, before we get into the phone, do you mind if I ask you a few questions? This will help me give you a better recommendation on a phone. And they say yes, and then I'll say, okay, well, how many lines do you have on your account? And then I'll start going through these questions. That's before I pull up their account to check out what anything's going on there. Before I start talking about phones, I'm asking these questions. So question number 1 is how many lines are on your account? Let's give the example, they say 4. I'll say, okay, how many of those are smartphones? They'll say 3 of them. I'll say, okay, so there's one basic. Who has that one? They'll say grandma. Okay, I'll say, okay, is grandma ready for to get into a new smartphone? And I'm asking additional questions and trying to connect more. I'll say, how many of those lines are ready for upgrades? And they'll answer that with 1 or 3 or whatever. Then my next question is, okay, we understand the phones, we understand the plan, how many gigs are on your plan. My next question is, what other wireless devices do you have, laptops or tablets? And they answer that, and I'll say, okay, do you use them for personal or business? And how do you connect them to the internet? Is it wired or is it wireless? Right? That is for the laptop. If they have a tablet, and say, okay, how do you connect it to the internet? And they'll just say, oh, home Wi-Fi. That question sets me up to pitch either our mobile broadband or our tablets because they're internet on the go. Right? I'm trying to ask a question that says, hey, I'm only stuck at home when I use these tablets or laptops, and then in my solution, in my recommendation, I'm going to pitch them a new tablet or a mobile broadband that'll get them to be able to use that on the go. Okay. Then I'm going to connect more by asking them questions like, oh, laptop, what kind of laptop do you have? Do you like it? Or what tablet do you have? How do you like it? Those are my connecting questions within that. Question number 3 is, who's your home internet provider? This I'm going to be trying to pitch either additional pull-through or Time Warner Cable for our stores that sell Time Warner Cable. Then I'm going to ask them, do you have the full bundle with them? Do you have home internet and TV? If they say, no, I just have internet, now I can pitch them a home phone. Again, additional questions and connect more. My last question is, are you from the area? This is to set up the stage for Vivint. I'm going to ask them, how long have you lived in your current place? Is it a home or an apartment? Usually by that time you'll get an idea if they own the home or not. If they don't, then I'm going to say, oh, okay, do you own the home? And I'm going to connect more on that. You're not from here, you've lived here for 6 years. Where did you live before? How do you like the area? Those types of things. When they say, oh yeah, I live in a home and I own it, I'm going to just throw in a quick pitch of saying something like, oh, cool. Well, we've got this new app called Vivint that you can, it's home automation for your house. You can unlock and lock your doors. You can change the thermostat. It's really cool, but we'll talk about that later. Right? I just set the stage for that and bring it up later. Okay. So those are my 4 questions. They flow very well. They give you a good understanding of what the customer is using, what they have, and you'll get a good idea of what other products you can pitch them. So now I'll say to the customer, okay, that gives me a good understanding. Let's take a look at your account real quick, and then let's talk about phones. Then I'll go through and I'll talk about phones and plans. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to pitch them any of these items that I feel are going to work really well for them. Is it a tablet? Is it going to be Time Warner Cable? Is it going to be Vivint? And I'm going to pitch those in my recommendation process as I'm talking about phone and plan. Okay, so a couple other things on this. Number 1, I use the bubble sheet to take notes when I'm asking those questions. I'm not writing anything in crazy detail. I'm still making sure I'm paying attention to the customer. I'm just jotting down things real quick. Within each bubble, I'm writing, smartphone, 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 basic. And up to the top, if they have Time Warner Cable, I'm going to write TWC. I'm going to write pitch HPC, or something like that. And then once I ask all those questions, I'm going to just put it back under my arm and start talking about everything else. I'll bring it back out when I need to build their package for them and use it that way. But I've still got all my notes, so I remember what I need to pitch and what I don't need to pitch. So the goal is to get to know your customer and how they use technology in their lives. And again, these questions will help prepare you for the recommendation process in pitching all of the other products. And then of course, it'll help you close a maximized deal. Okay, so once you go over those questions with your team and they understand it, they understand the purpose, now you're gonna break into role plays. And this is the key portion of this, is to get your teams to really practice this. So you're gonna break everybody into twos, and they're gonna focus on the connect and the discover. As soon as they finish the discover, the role play is done, and then they'll switch. You wanna spend 10 or 15 minutes on the role plays, get everybody to be the sales rep 2 or 3 times. You and maybe your MIT, based on how many people you have there, should be watching the role plays and critiquing those. This is our team's first time really approaching Earn the Right this way, and so they're gonna need to be critiqued. They're gonna naturally go back to their old habit and go straight to phone when a customer says, hey, I want an upgrade. And we can't do that. We've gotta take the step back, and we've gotta be asking all of those questions and doing the 4 phases correctly. Again, you want to spend 10 or 15 minutes on that. So the final thing is the after the training. Again, if they just do 2 role plays, they're not going to, when they get back into a real customer, a real life situation, they're going to go back to their old habits. So you need to create the new habit. So you need to practice this with your spot on trainings and your weekly one-on-ones. Make sure that you're reminding your reps every day, hey, remember those discovery questions, remember those discovery questions. And then celebrate success when somebody sells extra products using the discovery correctly. Post it on GroupMe, give people high fives, and make sure that you're rewarding people with praise when they do it correctly. So as you're preparing for this, remember you're setting the stage, problem and solution. The first part of the weekly store training is to set the stage for the problem, and then the last half is the solution to fix it. Our goal is to be able to maximize every sale that we have with every customer. And the only way to do that is to do Earn the Right the correct way, which is by spending time in the discovery phase with all of our products instead of doing Earn the Right with each individual product. As we do that, we'll be able to maximize our sales, we'll be able to make more money with each customer, and each one of our customers will be happy with the products that we've sold them. So that's the weekly store training. Thanks guys, have a great week, sell lots and lots of phones, and we will talk to you soon.